Now, they're a hardline, far-right group provoking Muslim communities across Britain. Tonight, Porrick O'Brien takes you inside Britain First, reveals their leadership links to the BNP and asks if small, extreme groups can ever gain traction here. And just to warn you, his report does contain some strong language.
Terrorist scum! Off our streets! Taliban scum! Off our streets!
This is Britain First, a small far-right anti-Islamist group, complete with paramilitary trappings. The man with the megaphone is Paul Golding, formerly of the BNP.
Off our streets!
Right, let's keep the convoy tight.
They have military Land Rovers.
Can the Land Rover get the Christian patrol leaflets ready, please? Roger.
Uniforms, walkie-talkies. We joined them on what they called a Christian patrol. So we've just hooked up with the group Britain First. They haven't told us where they're going or what they're doing. All they've said is they're conducting 3 what they called operations this evening. They've given us this walkie-talkie to keep us informed about the operations and where they're going. They were set up last year after a small group of extremists called Muslim Patrol hit the headlines threatening people drinking outside mosques.
Pour it out. Get him to pour it out.
Britain First's modus operandi, dressing up as soldiers and dangerous publicity stunts. They've invaded mosques across the country, this one in East London.
Okay. If he's not here, I'm going to leave you some of these literature.
Some Muslim leaders have called for them to be proscribed.
ETA, 1 minute, get ready to disembark.
ETA, 1 minute. The drama mounting. It's all getting suitably menacing.
Get the flags, the PA system, the microphone, get the whole lot, and the leaflets.
Then, at high speed,
Here, get this, yeah?
Yeah, I know, get in there.
they drive straight into a car park barrier, taking it clean off its concrete pillars.
Tell you what, this is everything. I'll take a few of us. Can you not film this?
Oh, sorry, man, sorry.
A far-right Dad's Army hitting the buffers is, of course, a bit funny. But it's symbolic as well. In the car park of politics, the British public never seem to let the far right find a space. After the car park to the house of radical preacher Anjem Choudhury, then to the home of Islamist radical Abu Izzadeen, who's been convicted of terrorist-related offences.
This is English soil. The people down this road do not want you here.
Most people on the street were ambivalent. Some weren't.
We are your host. You are our guests. You don't shit on us. We're the hand that feeds you at the end of the day.
The Paul Goldings, Tommy Robinsons and Nick Griffins will come and go. What's more interesting, the backroom people who remain constant. People like Jim Dowson and his marketing company Midas. He doesn't normally do television interviews, prefers to stay behind the scenes. His CV, ex-Calvinist minister, organiser of Belfast's flag protests. He cut his marketing teeth working for the militant pro-life movement in the States, then set up the BNP's fundraising call centre in Belfast.
You've got to remember, most political parties don't know their arse to their elbow. You bring in a professional marketing team. You know, I trained in America with the pro-lifers and all that. If you apply professional marketing techniques and fundraising to a political situation, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the BNP. Raised them £4 million, and then left them to it. So I was never in the BNP, but we did do work for them, just to make them successful enough to push everybody over to the right. And I think that has resulted now in the success that UKIP is enjoying. And far better UKIP enjoying it than the BNP, to be honest with you. But at least everybody's over to the right, a couple of notches.
Now he's bankrolling Britain First. How much would you say you ploughed into that?
That would be difficult to count. I'd need to go and calculate that up. But a substantial amount. One thing I agree with Mr. Choudhury on, there is such a concept as a just war, a holy war. He calls it jihad, we call it crusade.
Is that how you see it? You see yourself involved in a holy war?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Without any shadow of a doubt.
Like
This is a
your
holy war.
rhetoric is identical to theirs in that respect, isn't it?
Maybe it is, but we are right, they're wrong.
Do you think Jesus would do what you're doing?
Absolutely.
Because it wasn't his modus operandi in the New Testament, was it? We had no record
Well,
of him driving
again,
around Jerusalem in a decommissioned military.
No, but he also said, I come not to bring peace but a sword.
Jim Dowson and Britain First are employing sophisticated social media techniques in this crusade. But first, puppies. Britain First's Facebook page gets about 2 million interactions a day, which is phenomenal. But what proportion of those people are just people who like puppies? Britain First has a team of people pumping out Facebook pages with these types of images on them. The puppy is the hook. But then when you click through, you get back to Britain First's home page. The new crusade begins. The numbers online are impressive. The numbers they can get down the gym for Fight Club, less so.
The size of the organisation isn't what we're concerned about. It's their ability to draw people into conflict, their ability to drill people and educate people in preparation for what they think is going to be like some kind of great Armageddon or the final battle.
Some want them banned. In a democracy, of course, it's more complicated. Alan Johnson was Home Secretary during the EDL's formative years. We started by asking him how close they came to being prescribed.
Oh, they came nowhere near.
Nowhere.
English Defence League came nowhere near that, no. No. I mean, I'm on the left of British politics. But, I can't challenge their reason to exist. There was never anything, although we kept an eye on them, there was never anything that suggested that they were crossing that line.
If you were Home Secretary, what advice, what would you be doing about Britain First?
I'd be keeping a careful eye on them, as I'm sure the Home Secretary is doing. I would ask for, this is a very new group, a very small group, so it means you want to be absolutely sure that they're registering on the radar.
And they are. Before we arrived at our final stop, the police had arrived.
We're going to go down past East London Mosque. We're going to do a right into Brick Lane.
Down Brick Lane. There were some typically British reactions to them. Irony.
What's your idea? Christian patrol, sir.
Oh, so we're going to go down the non-Christian street.
Rude gestures.
I don't feel like it's right.
Yeah. This man was even apologising to Asian people. It was interesting that you kind of personally took it upon yourself to kind of almost apologise. Others took more personal offence. So even though it started all sort of quite farcical, this of course is how it ended up. A flashpoint of tension here on Brick Lane. There are young people coming from all around. They're obviously very angry. Some community leaders have showed up to try and calm things down. And of course, quite a big police presence suddenly on the scene. If it hadn't been for that lightning-fast police response, the situation would have seriously disintegrated. Britain First were escorted away. They reconvened in another car park later. For defenders of England, you scarpered pretty quick.
We never scarpered pretty quick. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, we still carried on marching up the road. Police asked us if we'd get in the vehicles and go. We abided by what the police said. We don't want to stir up tensions, but if we have to stir up tensions in order to get the issues addressed, then we will. We're here to pressurise the Muslim community to take care of certain issues.
The day ended as it began, in a car park, with people who feel like someone else is always stealing their space.